A holding cell painted bubblegum pink stopped violent inmates from throwing punches within 15 minutes. No sedatives. No restraints. Just paint. Fact number 1. The Baker-Miller pink prison experiment calmed violent prisoners in under 15 minutes. In 1979, U.S. Naval correctional researcher Dr. Alexander Schoss teamed up with directors Gene Baker and Ron Miller at the Naval Correctional Center in Seattle, Washington. They painted one holding cell a very specific shade of pink, now permanently known as Baker-Miller pink or drunk tank pink, using the exact formula P618, red 255, green 145, blue 175. The result was jaw-dropping. Newly admitted inmates who were agitated, combative, and screaming became noticeably calmer within just 10 to 15 minutes of being placed in the room. No inmate exposed to that specific pink color ever exhibited aggressive or violent behavior during the observation period. Schoss published his findings in the Journal of Orthomolecular Psychiatry, and the explanation he proposed was physiological, not just psychological. He believed the color actually suppressed the adrenal glands, physically reducing the hormone output that fuels aggression. More than 1,500 correctional facilities across the United States subsequently painted holding rooms Baker-Miller pink. Now pause and let that sink in. A specific wavelength of light was changing human hormones and stopping violence. And that is only fact number 1. Fact number 2, red plates make you eat less, and food scientists proved it with a controlled study. Here is one that will make you rethink every dish you own. In 2012, researchers at the University of Parma in Italy and Cornell University in the United States published a study in the journal Appetite examining how plate color affects how much food people consume. Participants were given the same snack foods, salty crackers and chocolate chips, served on either white, red, or blue plates, and were told to help themselves freely. The group eating off red plates consumed significantly less food than those eating off white or blue plates, specifically around 40% less in some test conditions. The researchers concluded that red acts as a subtle stop signal, a subconscious brake, because we have been conditioned through evolution and culture to associate red with danger, warnings, and the instruction to halt. Your brain sees a red plate and quietly whispers slow down before a single cracker reaches your mouth. Weight loss programs have since incorporated this finding into behavioral eating strategies. You are not choosing how much you eat nearly as freely as you believe. Fact number 3. The color blue physically makes time feel slower, and casinos know it. If you have ever walked into a casino and felt like time was moving differently, you were not imagining it. Environmental psychologists have documented that blue environments measurably distort our perception of time, making minutes feel longer and causing people to feel less urgency. In a study published in the Journal of Environmental Psychology, participants in blue-lit rooms consistently underestimated how much time had passed compared to participants in red-lit rooms. Red environments had the opposite effect, compressing perceived time, making people feel rushed. Casinos overwhelmingly avoid blue in their main gaming areas, preferring reds, oranges, and warm yellows precisely because those colors make gamblers feel like less time is passing, keeping them at the tables longer. But here is the twist. Hospitals and waiting rooms that have introduced blue accent lighting report that patients rate their wait times as shorter and more tolerable, even when the actual wait time is identical to non-blue rooms. The same color that makes casino patrons stay longer also makes hospital patients feel less frustrated. One color, two completely opposite applications of the exact same neurological trick. Fact number 4, yellow causes more babies to cry and more couples to fight in their own homes. In the 1950s and 1960s, yellow became the fashionable choice for kitchens across America. Interior designers loved its brightness and energy. What nobody told those homeowners was what color researcher and environmental psychologist Dr. Frank Menke documented decades later in his 1996 book Color, Environment, and Human Response. Yellow is the color the human eye processes with the highest level of mental strain. The retina works harder to process long wavelength, high-luminance yellow than almost any other color. The result in sustained exposure environments like kitchens and nurseries? Elevated irritability, lower frustration tolerance, and statistically higher rates of emotional outbursts. Studies conducted in nurseries painted yellow versus soft blue or green found that infants cried more frequently and for longer durations in yellow rooms. A survey of interior design researchers also found that couples reported more arguments occurring in predominantly yellow kitchens versus neutral or cool-toned ones. The color that feels like sunshine is, under the surface, quietly fraying your nerves every single day you live with it. Fact number 5. A single color change increased sales of the same product by 24% overnight, with zero other changes. This one is used in every marketing degree program on Earth, and it still sounds impossible. In a famous A/B test conducted by HubSpot in 2011, one of the most cited conversion rate optimization experiments in digital marketing history, 2 versions of a web page were shown to visitors. Everything on both pages was completely identical: the headline, the copy, the images, the offer, the layout. The only difference was the color of the call to action button. Version A had a green button. Version B had a red button. The red button outperformed the green button by 21% in click-through conversions. That single color swap, with no other variable changed, drove a measurable, statistically significant increase in human behavior. But it gets even more specific. Later research by the Nielsen-Norman Group found that the effect is not about red being universally superior, it is about contrast and psychological salience. The winning color in any context is whichever color creates the greatest contrast against the surrounding page and triggers the appropriate emotional association for the action being requested. Billion-dollar e-commerce companies run hundreds of these color tests simultaneously, every single day, silently optimizing the exact hues that will make you click, buy, and subscribe without ever consciously noticing why you did it. Fact number 6. Surgeons switched to green and blue scrubs because red was literally causing visual hallucinations. For most of the early 20th century, operating room surgeons wore white. It made sense: white symbolized cleanliness and sterility. But by the 1950s, something alarming was being reported. Surgeons performing long operations were experiencing disturbing visual disturbances, phantom color images, visual fatigue, and in some cases, temporary after-image hallucinations appearing on white surfaces mid-surgery. The cause was traced directly to color science. When the human eye stares at a red object, like blood and exposed tissue, for an extended period and then glances at a white surface, the retina's red-sensitive cone cells become fatigued and the brain compensates by generating the complementary color, a vivid green-tinged phantom image. On a white surface, those hallucinations were clearly visible and disorienting. The solution was elegant: switch the surgical environment to blue-green tones. Blue-green is the exact complementary color of blood red, meaning it neutralizes the after-image effect rather than amplifying it. By the 1960s, the entire medical industry had transitioned to the blue and green surgical scrubs and drapes we see today. The color of a surgeon's outfit is not a fashion choice, it is a neurological necessity that directly affects patient survival rates. Fact number 7. The Coca-Cola Company did not invent Santa's red suit, but their 1931 campaign permanently locked that color into Christmas worldwide. Okay, let us get the misconception out of the way first. Historians confirm that red-suited Santas appeared in illustrations before Coca-Cola's famous campaign, including a 1906 drawing and several early 20th century depictions. However, what Coca-Cola artist Haddon Sundblom did in 1931 was create a standardized, mass-distributed visual identity for Santa Claus that saturated global media for decades. Sundblom's Santa wore the precise shade of Coca-Cola red, a warm, rich, commercially standardized crimson, and appeared in advertisements distributed in major magazines across North America every single Christmas season from 1931 to 1964. That is 33 consecutive years of global color conditioning. The psychological impact was permanent. Research on color memory and cultural association conducted by Dr. Paul Bottomley and Dr. John Doyle, published in the Journal of Marketing in 2006, found that brand colors can achieve what they call color ownership, a state where a specific hue becomes so neurologically linked to a brand or cultural symbol that consumers instinctively associate the two even in unrelated contexts. Coca-Cola Red does not just remind you of the brand. It has been neurologically woven into the emotional fabric of an entire global holiday season. Every red Christmas decoration you hang is, on some level, a 90-year-old marketing campaign living inside your brain. Fact number 8. NASA discovered that a specific shade of orange keeps astronauts psychologically stable during isolation, and it works on Earth too. This is the one that will permanently change how you think about the walls around you. During the extended isolation studies conducted in preparation for long-duration spaceflight missions, including research programs that fed into the planning for Mars mission psychology, NASA and affiliated researchers at the Johnson Space Center identified specific color environments that measurably impact astronaut psychological stability during confinement. The findings, which informed habitat design guidelines published in NASA's Human Integration Design Handbook, showed that environments incorporating controlled amounts of warm orange tones, specifically in the 590 to 620 nanometer wavelength range, helped maintain circadian rhythm regulation, reduced reported symptoms of psychological monotony and depression, and kept cognitive performance scores higher during prolonged isolation compared to neutral gray or white environments. The exact mechanism involves orange's stimulation of the hypothalamus, which regulates both mood and the body's internal clock. Here's where it gets deeply personal. Subsequent studies conducted at the University of British Columbia and referenced in environmental psychology literature found that these same effects translate to standard residential and office environments on Earth. People who work or live in spaces with orange accent elements report measurably higher motivation scores, lower instances of seasonal affective disorder symptoms, and better sleep cycle regularity, because the color is literally communicating with the part of your brain that controls time, energy, and emotional baseline. NASA cracked the color code for keeping humans sane in outer space, and the answer is hanging on walls right here on Earth, and almost nobody knows it. Every single room you walk into today is running a silent experiment on your brain. The colors surrounding you right now, on your walls, your screens, your food packaging, your clothes, are adjusting your hormones, distorting your time perception, influencing what you buy, how much you eat, how aggressive or calm you feel, and whether you are neurologically prepared to face the day. You have never had a choice-free moment in a colorful world. Now you at least know why. Subscribe to Moonlit Minds for daily mind-blowing facts that will change how you see the world.